Rutland City Board of Aldermen on this day, Monday, December 18th, 1995. Everyone rise and pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome all those that are home watching on behalf of the Board of Aldermen. I'd also like to let audience know that Paul Clifford is at a strategic planning meeting tonight for the Recreation Department and asked that I announce that he'd like to be here, but the Planning Committee is still taking on information, and he would like to let everybody know that's where he's at tonight. He felt it was important that he be there. I'd like to start on the agenda. First order of business is the minutes of our previous meeting.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion's been made and second to approve the minutes of December 4th, 1995. Any debate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the Board of Aldermen on matters that are not on the agenda. Karen?
Mr. President, thank you. It's very nice to be back in this chamber with some of my former colleagues. I just have three items I'd like to briefly present to the board. One is an item that Alderman Davis had asked me to have drafted into legislative form. And if you don't require a motion, I think I'll just give it to her to go back to her committee. It's regarding motor vehicles, the removal of vehicles and towing charges that her committee needed some statutory changes in. So could I just present this to her? The next action would be if the Charter and Ordinance Committee and the full board approve this draft language, I will introduce this on the floor of the House, and hopefully it will remedy what you need taken care of. The next thing I have is just an invitation from the Elections Director, Ellen Toffrey, and the Secretary of State, Jim Mills, are willing to come to towns and cities to give a presentation on the presidential primary and how that would be different. And I thought I might pass this on to the board and the Board of Civil Authority with the benefit of Channel 15 and the Rutland Herald and the Rutland Tribune at your meetings. This might be another effort to get the word out to citizens on how this primary will be different. And there's a contact number here. Maybe I'll give this to our City Clerk, Rosemary. And the third thing is, most of you folks were on the board at the time when I was, and we had an individual come to us who had missed the veterans exemption filing deadline. And we were all, I think, distressed that we couldn't do anything for that individual because the law stated that the application had to be made on or before May 1st. This person had missed that deadline, and I think it upset all of us. And so as a freshman legislator last year, that was one of the first things that I sought to take care of. I introduced a bill that essentially would allow for a late filed claim that's prorated. So it keeps the deadline intact. There's still respect for the deadline. There's still the ability for municipalities to anticipate how many exemptions and the commensurate taxes that we wouldn't be receiving. What it is over 5 months, it would reduce to 20%. So there's also the incentive there to do your filing on time. This has passed the House, and it's now in Senate Finance. They had taken testimony on it at the end of last year. I believe it's going to be dealt with very quickly at the beginning of this year because we're facing many other challenges. So I thought I would give a couple of copies of the bill. I'm sorry I don't have enough copies for everyone, but if you wanted to look it over and either as individuals or perhaps as a body, express your support to Senate Finance. The chair is Senator Webster. I know that we were all very troubled that we couldn't do anything for this individual. I know that that Barry has redoubled his efforts to make sure that people are notified and to extend that hand so that it doesn't happen again. But this would take care of it statutorily. So with your permission, Mr. President, I'll just give these to our clerk. And I thank you very much. I hope y'all have a nice day. Thank you.
Other opportunities to address the board, Barry?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I've handed out a letter to the board. I hope everybody has a copy. I've been on the board for about 9 months now. And the biggest thing I hear from my constituents is the fact that their property taxes are too high, that we're spending too much money. Having gone through the different contracts we have, having looked at, to the best of my ability, where the money goes, I've come up with some ideas that I'd like to give the voters an opportunity to vote on. I don't necessarily think these may not fly, but I really believe that the people of this city who pay the taxes need an idea of where their money goes and need to revisit some of these, whether it's automatic pay increases every year, whether it's the extremely generous benefit package that our employees receive, whether it's some of these work rules that have come into being over however many years these contracts are negotiated. I really think it's time to give the voters an opportunity to decide how they want their money spent. I think I think we're extremely generous with our employees. The simple fact of the matter is that the majority of our tax dollars goes to pay the employees of the city of Rutland, probably 80 or more %. So if we want to reduce our property taxes, there are a number of ways that might happen. We might be lucky that the state of Vermont will give us a windfall of money. The state of Vermont's running out of money. I don't think we're going to get any more. There's a lot of people working to develop our grand list. That's moving along. That's a win-win situation for every new business that comes in. The other way we reduce our property taxes is to reduce our spending. I think the mayor's done a very good job over the years. I don't think he's gotten all the support he could have used, but I've come up with some ideas that I think are fair and reasonable. The citizens of the city may not, but I want to give them the opportunity. I think we're being more generous than we need to be. I think we're being more generous than we can afford to be. It's the voters who decide that question. Having been through a budget process and a number of contracts, I'm not sure if that is abundantly clear to the people who are elected. I want to give the people a chance. So in an effort to reduce our local property taxes by changing for the better, I believe, the way the city of Rutland delivers services to its citizens, I am organizing a citizens group called Taxpayers United of Rutland City, whose initial primary focus shall be petitioning voters to place the following questions on the March and/or, and most likely November 1996 city ballots. Charter changes, there are 4, and these are not the final draft, but the best I could do at this point in time. I felt it was important enough to get something on the table. We have a number of contracts in place that are binding for probably 3 years. So this is a long-term project. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow or next week or probably next year. But when those contracts come up, which is where the majority of our tax dollars go, I want the people of the city of Rutland to have had an opportunity to decide how they want to spend their money. Number 1, shall the city of Rutland reduce its charter limit for general city purposes to 80 cents per 100,000? That's a 6% decrease from the 85 cents now that is the charter limit. Number 2, shall the city of Rutland reduce its charter limit for schools to $1.15 per 100,000? The limit now is $1.25. The spending level this year is $1.20. That'd be a 4% decrease this year and possibly 8% in the next 2 years. Shall the city of Rutland repeal the appointment for life clause in the fire department charter and hence allow the city in the future to staff and organize the department as it deems necessary? I don't believe we can afford to pay firemen to sleep at night. We definitely have to have them on duty at night, but I don't think we can afford to pay them to sleep at night. Maybe I'm wrong. Whether that means changing the shifts back to 12 hours or reorganizing the department, I think it needs to be considered. There's quite a few hundreds of thousands in that question. Shall the city of Rutland reduce its charter allotment for pension to 3 cents per 100,000? It's presently at 6 cents, and it breaks down that the city allots or contributes 5% of an employee's pension or salary to their pension. I think that's overly generous. I could be wrong. I put it on the table. Binding resolution, there's only one I have at this point. It's the one that's probably the linchpin of this whole idea. It shall the City of Rutland eliminate binding arbitration as a means for settling labor disputes and impasses, and instead use voluntary arbitration or whatever means it deems appropriate to achieve results in labor negotiations that are in the best interest of the citizens of Rutland. If we're going to make any substantial changes, if we want to make any substantial changes, the citizens may not, but if they do, binding arbitration has to go. There will be no significant change in work rules, benefits, or wage-related issues with binding arbitration as a fact. It is the linchpin. Non-binding resolutions, the first and foremost is, shall the City of Rutland consider revising and standardizing the benefit package that all of its full-time employees receive to reflect the following changes? When I came here and started, I asked somebody, what are the benefit levels like, and I was told very generous. They are. The proposed benefit levels that I put forth here are what I think are a fair and a reasonable benefit. If you look at the small business private sector where most people are employed, I think you'll find it's reasonable. Maybe a little more or a little less, but again, I'm just putting it forth to let people know what the present level of benefits are and a proposed change. Paid holidays, present level 13 to 14 paid holidays. Fire and policemen get birthdays as holidays. They get the 14. I propose 7 days. Paid sick leave. Right now it's 10 to 12 days per year that can accumulate and cash in upon retirement. I propose 5 days, not cumulative. Vacation, 1 to 4 years earns 2 weeks, 5 to 9 years is 3 weeks, 10 to 19 years of service is 4 weeks, and 20 plus years is 5 weeks. I propose 1 to 9 years for 2 weeks, 10 to 19 years for 3 weeks, 20 plus years for 4 weeks. Again, I think that's reasonable. Health insurance, the city pays full amount at appropriate coverage level, whether it's a single person, two family, or family. I propose $2,500 set aside for each full-time year-round employee to utilize as they see fit. Dental insurance, city pays now, I believe, 60%. I would delete it and include that in the $2,500. Life insurance, which is nominal, the city pays about $30,000 a year for all of its employees for a nominal, I think it's a $10,000 coverage. I would delete and include that in the $2,500. Personal days, the only ones who get those are the teachers. I would delete them. And understand, everything I say here, when I say all city employees, I include the teachers. I'm talking as a private citizen, of the city of Rutland, and the teachers are an integral part, being they take up probably 40% of our tax dollars. Pension plan, I've already gone over that. Bereavement leave, that's kind of all over the place. Different departments get different things. I brought it to 5 days each occasion for all, which is about where it is now. My feeling is all city employees should get the same benefit package. I think it's fair and reasonable. I may be wrong. Non-binding resolutions continue. 2, in an effort to promote excellence instead of mediocrity, should the City of Rutland consider eliminating automatic pay raises increases each year for its employees, and instead formulate and implement a yearly bonus system to reward excellence in job performance. Number 3, in an effort to further contain our city's ever-rising school department expenditures, shall the City of Rutland consider conferring on the Mayor and Board of Aldermen the power to veto the annual school budget as presented by the Board of School Commissioners. 4, in an effort to save money by improving efficiency and productivity through reduced man hours, shall the City of Rutland consider combining and/or consolidating similar operations that presently exist between general city operations and the school department. This runs hand in hand with the effort to combine the purchasing agents. There's a lot more operations that are redundant. You could save quite a bit of money if the school department weren't allowed to exist as a separate fiefdom. I think we should work together, and right now that's really not the case. Last, shall the City of Rutland consider requiring all of its employees to be residents of the city? This idea is presently in the Charter and Ordinance Committee. I just wanted to bring it up because I think it needs to be put forth. These last were binding resolutions. I think that the employees of the city of Rutland do a good job. But that's not the point here. The point is, I don't think we can afford the tax rate as it is now. There's very few places to cut. I put this forward to the voters. This is where the majority of money is going. I think if we were to look at these and many other proposals, we could probably reduce our tax rate by 20%. I offer this up. It's going to take probably a number of years to at least get the information out. It's a message, it's an idea whose time has come. We need to revisit how we deliver services, who delivers those services, and how we pay for those services. Because our tax dollars are not finite. Thank you much.
You have some extra copies, Barry, we didn't get any.
Yep, I sent I don't know if there's a pile on somebody's desk there.
So they went back to St. Lee's.
But we do have some extras. Who needs one?
Just choose enough.
Anyone else outside the rail that is not on the agenda that would like to discuss any issue before the board this evening? Hearing and seeing none, I'd like to move on the agenda. Communications from the mayor. There's a charter amendment for school children first scholarships that's dated September 14th to the Board of Aldermen. In the letter is a request to refer this to Charter and Ordinance Committee and report back at our next meeting. I'll entertain a motion to debate.
Second.
Motion's been made and second to debate the issue to refer to Charter and Ordinance. Alderman Davis.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to state that a meeting has been scheduled for Wednesday, the 20th at 5:15 in the chambers. I have asked the city clerk to give me copies, which she has, so we will have available for those in attendance. I have also notified Dr. Brothers, Dr. Dick, and David Walk, so they could also be in attendance. I assume that the mayor will be here because this is his issue. I will chair the meeting, but I will turn the meeting over to Jeff to handle the question and answers at that point, and I would assume that the city attorney would also be present. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other questions inside the rail? Jeff, do you have anything you want to say this evening on this?
Well, just that I look forward to the opportunity to discuss in some detail the proposal in committee, and I appreciate very much Sharon's willingness to take it up in the next few days, because this next couple of weeks is tough for a lot of folks in terms of putting together schedules, so I really do appreciate that accommodation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions now or then, depending on whatever the will of the board is.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Alderman
could.
Davis.
Jeff, just one question that's been raised to me by a school board member, and I don't have the specifics because I don't deal with state aid to education. Is there some concern about the numbers, whether they're correct or incorrect? And I don't know if that's, I would just encourage you to maybe come prepared with those numbers, or someone who can share that expertise with us, because we as a board don't deal with it on a daily basis and are unable to do so. So I think that's going to be one of the issues that I've heard is basically the numbers are not possibly quite what they're used to working with, and possibly the constitutional. So if those could be properly addressed, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. The numbers have been run about 5 times, so I'm pretty comfortable, based on a statewide model, and I'm pretty comfortable that they're right. But the way the thing is structured, it can accommodate adjustments if need be. As for the constitutionality issue, hopefully Frank will be there, and hopefully Chris will be there, and we can discuss that with people who are truly qualified, and that would be a good discussion as well. But I do, of course, encourage the board to give this favorable consideration, because the request is simply to place it on the ballot for voter consideration, and basically move the debate over this issue from an academic debate into a democratic one. And I'm hopeful we'll have a chance to do that in March.
And I encourage the full board to attend the committee meeting if possible. I think this is a big issue that we're not well versed on, and I think this is our only opportunity to learn how it works and what the request is before our January 2nd meeting. So I have invited the entire school board and I am inviting the entire Board of Aldermen to attend that meeting.
What time is it again?
It'll be December 20th at 5:15, which is this Wednesday, here in the chambers.
Any other debate on the motion to refer to charter and ordinance? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on the agenda, reports from standing committees. Also shared charter and ordinance, the alcohol and drug CDL policy that's in your
Thank you, Mr.
packet.
Chairman. The Charter and Ordinance Committee met 12/11. Members present were Alderman Stafford, Clifford, and Davis. Others present were City Attorney Sullivan, DPW Commissioner Ben Connors, and Ira Earl, Emergency Management Director. The subject was the drug and alcohol testing policy for CDL qualified employees, and I believe a copy is in all of your packets. This is a federal mandate to be in place by January 1st, 1996, which only affects our DPW employees because they are the only ones who hold CDL licenses. This policy has been reviewed by the union, and the disciplinary action will be in accordance with the provisions of the collective bargaining agreement, and I move for the approval.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Questions? Debate. Alderman Morris?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to note for the board that this will be coming in front of you again. We haven't had the negotiation session with the Department of Public Works. They have told us about 4 or 5 issues that we have to negotiate with them. But I indicated that we would be passing a policy prior to January 1st, so we have something in effect by the date it's supposed to be effective. We will negotiate the terms that they're concerned about after that time, and they did not have a problem with that.
Is that why that this thing essentially has no teeth? Because we have to wait until it's been, because nothing states about actual relief from duty with no pay. There are several instances where it says relief from safety-sensitive duty. It doesn't say anything about not being put on a desk and, you know, still drawing a paycheck. These guys come up hot second, third, fourth time on a test.
That is one of the issues that we'll be negotiating. But on top of that as well, they are subject to the collective bargaining agreement. So if they can be disciplined under that agreement for cause, and one of the causes would be to come under the influence of some type of drug or alcohol while they're at work. So they'd be subject to the disciplinary process under the contract. We will be negotiating those elements of the policy beginning in January.
Is there anything under the current contract, the one that's in effect as we speak right now, as to any punishment or relief of duty without pay? How's it covered now?
I mean, there's a step process. One is oral warning is the first step. Second step is a reprimand. If it's serious enough, then we can have a suspension up to 2 weeks without Board of Civil Authority approval without pay.
And I think if I can add to that, because the supervisors on duty make the decision of whether you can work in the capacity, there was some discussion about training, and all the supervisors will be receiving training through the leagues of cities and town or the union. Both of them offer that training, so they can certainly be confident in making the decision that the employee is in a safety-sensitive position and should not be participating in that role, whatever it is that day, that evening, or if it's a call-in basis for road plowing, especially this time of year.
Okay.
And the other thing that we discussed in committee was, there was some concern when we met with the union over the regular drug and alcohol policy, and that was treatment. And in here you'll see there are pages that deal with if you need help, you can call, et cetera, et cetera. And Chris was researching what coverage the Blue Cross Blue Shield for the city has, and the employees will be aware that there is coverage for like an EAP program to go and get whatever necessary assistance they need to get back into a productive manner in the job.
Alderman Gillum?
Also in your bullet here, designed for transport 16 or more passengers. Does that include the school department buses, school buses?
They have a policy in place.
This just
policy
is
does
our
not
city.
include that. This is just the.
This is just Public Works Department.
That's correct.
But we don't have no policy for bus drivers, for the school department, or there is?
We don't, but there is one in place.
There is one in
and They
place.
already have
All right.
negotiated with their union,
Okay.
and it's in place.
What's the status, Chris, on liability in the event someone on duty has a fatal, kills somebody, for instance, and is found to be under the influence? Is the city liable for putting out someone who's under the influence onto the road?
I guess it depends upon the circumstances. I would say if there was a supervisor who knowingly or negligently allowed a particular employee out on the road to drive, and that driver caused an accident, and as a result of injuries occurred, that the city could be liable.
Other questions of the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion
I just
carries.
have one other order of business, Mr. Chairman. That same evening, we discussed the sign ordinance and the temporary sign issue. As I stated, I think in the last meeting, Mr. Simons, who's the building and zoning inspector, has been out talking with area businesses, especially along routes 4 and 7, States and West Street, to deal with, to make them known, give them a copy of the ordinance, and there still seem to be some concerns. We made it very clear at the last meeting that we had with some business people that if we needed to come back together again, we would do that. We would hear what their concerns are. If we needed to amend anything further, we would do that. And so I request at this time that I return the issue to Charter and Ordinance Committee, the temporary sign part of the issue. A meeting is scheduled for January 8th at 5:30. All business people hopefully have been notified. And that a temporary stay be in place on this portion of the ordinance until this matter is resolved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions of the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sharon. Community Development, Alderman Gillum.
Yes, we had a meeting last week, and first thing on the agenda was a report from Reddick on the contract dealing with the jobs program, and he just gave us an update. And he'll probably come back on the Vision of 96 meeting, and he'll give us some more information at that time. We did have another item that the committee did move on to the board, and I'd like to make that motion right now. I move to approve the amendments to the Rutland Downtown Redevelopment Plan, making reference to the signage consisting with performed with the new sign ordinances, enhancing the Architectural Review Committee, and I so moved.
Second. Motion been made and second, debate.
Matthew's here to answer any questions on that, if you have any questions.
Questions?
Yeah, was there supposed to be something in our packet about that?
That was moved a long time ago, and it's gone through committee, and it went through the planning commission, to my understanding, and it's come back to us, and it's now our job to move it to the full board for approval, and here is the whole document. What it's doing is making the sign ordinance and the architectural review so it's dovetailed together. So it makes it easier, one-stop shop type thing. It's just updating the plan, that's all it really is. Am I correct?
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Anything else?
And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any other standing committee reports this evening? Any select committee reports of any committees? Moving on in the agenda, petitions, letters, communication. Letter from George. Thank you letter to the police department.
Move to receive and place on file.
Second.
Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. First night special events permit.
Move for the approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and second for the approval. That is on December 31st, 1995, of course, starting in the afternoon till 12 midnight in downtown Rutland. Any debate? Alderman Gillum.
Just a comment, there's been a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into this, and they built this thing up to a real nice event, and I think a lot of people should be attending that in the downtown area. And other events are going on throughout the area. It's a good thing to do, and buttons are on sale right now.
Where are they on sale, Wendy?
I'll just read those really quickly. First Vermont Bank, First Brandon National Bank in Pittsburgh, Rutland Free Library, Price Chopper in Rutland and West Rutland, Chittenden Bank, Chamber of Commerce, Vermont Federal Bank, Green Mountain Bank in Polteny and on West Street, Perry's Market, Bill's Country Store up in Killington, Book King, Key Bank of Vermont, CVPS, Marble Bank, and Seward's Dairy. Your buttons are $6 until Christmas, and they go up to $8 after that, so get them this week.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Ballot items, and we have additional ballot item for the Association for Retarded Citizen that's asking to be placed on the ballot along with elderly services agencies.
Do we have to take these one at a time, Mr. President?
All at once would be.
I move that Southwest Vermont Council on Aging, the Rutland Regional Ambulance Service, and the Rutland Area Hospice Incorporated items be placed on the ballot.
Second.
And Association for Retarded Citizens.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was one on the desk too. And also that one.
And they all are for the same amount that they were on the ballot the
Yes.
last time they were on.
I believe they were.
Motion been made and second. Any questions or debate? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Moving on to number 4 on the agenda, Powell Center Act 250 building permit and Pico Peak Act 250 notice.
Receive and file.
Motion been made
Second.
and seconded to receive and file. Any debate? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Moving on to Board of Control Commissioners, there's no request. No requests, so we move on to reports and letters from department heads and city officials. First item, Police Commission, expenditure of equipment replacement fund. There's a letter dated December 5th, Alderman Casarino.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. I guess it's for asking for the rest of the money. I just read this letter, and back in September, I believe it was, or December, when we, or September or October, when we took this item up, we gave $39,200 for the replacements of the 2 bids, but we didn't have the money to buy the lighting and some of the other things that the cruisers need. And at that time, we turned it down. As I read this letter, it's telling that we asked them to try to get it out of their forfeiture fund, and they've said that the police commission voted against taking it out of their forfeit fund. And it looks to me like they're saying that we have to give them this money. Maybe I'm misunderstanding this letter, maybe I don't know how to read. But it's my understanding that this is the Board of Aldermen's equipment replacement fund, and we're only given a certain amount of money a year, about $80,000. And we're supposed to be able to split it up between the police department, the recreation department, and the Department of Public Works. And as we know, the recreation department took some cuts, and I'm sure that I'm not sure if it was this year, but I know in the past we've had to cut the DPW. Yes, the charter says, and the ordinance say that we have to replace vehicles every 2 years, I believe it is, or every year, 2 vehicles. And we try to do that. But for years before this fund, we always started taking the police cruisers out of this fund. It came out of the mayor's budget. But what's happened now, it's just automatic. They cross it out if somebody puts it in capital expenses, and it goes to the equipment replacement fund. I don't know if we have the money. They're saying that supposedly as the money comes in, that the taxes are collected, the money is there. And I really don't know if we got the money and we should do this or not. That's just my observation.
Alderman and staff.
I believe there was some discussion about that time, John, about we were going to take the money from the cars where they were either traded in or they went to another department and get money from that. Enough for those that lighting system. That's what I believe it is.
Well, it says here that the mayor and the city treasurer agreed with the police commission. No money was budgeted in the police department. Right. Well, there's money in the mayor's budget, and I'm sure the city treasurer could find it also. Instead of just pounding this thing down to there's nothing in there, and if we have any emergencies or anything, we're screwed. I'd like to hear how somebody else feels about it.
Alderman Dillon?
Shouldn't this be a line item in their budget? I mean, they have it every year, we know that. And do we have, replace the gun racks and can't use the same, I mean, for nickel and dime here, this is not our responsibility, it should be in their budget. They deal with it.
We give them the
We give them the cars, and they should be able to take care of the rest. For this small amount, $6,800.
Alderman
I
Stein?
move to refer to Finance Committee.
Second. Motion's been made to refer to finance.
finance report, we turn it down.
Is this Finance Committee? Committee.
It's already been in finance, Bob, and the finance committee
It has been out.
rejected.
I would put it back in there, but that's all right, but the rest of them, really.
Should go to the mayor.
What's the chairman think? The Finance Committee.
I'd like to send it to the mayor, let him, he's got all the answers here, so let him find the $6,800 in his budget.
A friendly amendment, it should go to the administration first.
Bob, would you withdraw your...
I'll withdraw my motion.
And make the motion refer to the mayor, Bob?
Yes, I'll make the motion to refer to the mayor then.
Second, okay, motion's made and second. Any debate on the motion to refer this issue?
Maybe it'll go to the mayor and they'll find out there's plenty of money in this funding. If there is, I don't have a problem.
Yep.
But we have there's nobody here to tell me tonight that the money's there.
Exactly. Motion to refer to the mayor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We are under unfinished business, miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business. We'll take them all at once, if there is any. Alderman Davis.
I have two things. First, the issue that Representative Moore, I'd like to refer this back to Charter and Ordinance, and this is the issue that deals with motor vehicles, parking, removal, the towing issue. When we were trying to do the ordinance for towing vehicles, we were unable to set a cost or a fine or fee because of the way the state is mandated. So I will refer this back to Charter and Ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Sharon.
I just have one more issue, and this is more of a question for the city attorney. As I was reading the police commission minutes from November 7th, and this is the second time that this issue has appeared, but this time it's a little more spelled out. It says the commission members requested that the request for proposals be amended to include a section for the cost of including the police department and the enhanced 911 system in the present building. And I guess I'm confused as to the motion from public safety to this board was to incorporate the 911 system in the fire department. The motion for the RFP study from public safety to this board was very specific as to looking at a public safety building, certainly looking at this building as to what we would need to bring it up to certain specifications, but not including the 911 system. And I guess what I'm asking is what power does the police commission have to change? Is this a recommendation? Is this a support to the police chief? Or is this a request to this board to change their motion?
I'd have to review exactly what they had done and some of the things that were done before, but this board would have ultimate authority in terms of what type of renovations would take place in the police department.
I understand Chief Holmes' concern, and I think we tried to cover those very carefully within the public safety committees. And I'm just concerned that mixed messages may be going out to the city treasurer as far as the request for the RFP study. And that's my concern. I saw this in the last minutes dealing with 911. It's here again. And I really have no intention of changing the motion because I think we covered it properly at that time. Thank you.
So your motion is, Sharon?
Well, I guess I was looking for information. I was looking to see what power, for lack of a better word, the police commission had to change our motion for request of the RFP study. If there is none, then I am not concerned. If there is any, then I wanted to make it very clear that this board did not mandate these changes or certainly approve of these changes in this RFP study.
Any other old or new business before us this evening?
I just wanted to have the board go into executive session if they deem it appropriate to discuss the union contract with the firefighters.
A motion has been requested from the city attorney to go into executive session to discuss contract with the firefighters.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Who would you like to stay in, Chris? The clerk, and we're still under unfinished business, resolutions or new business.
I just have a comment.
Yeah?
Lately, we've really been hammered in the radio, and the two shows that the Board of Aldermen is not sensitive to what's happening in the community, and I really think that's not true. A lot of people only see us with short meetings here and things are not happening. Well, that's only the tip of the iceberg. I think everybody in this room has worked really hard to get where we are right now. It took 10 years to get where we are right now. And I think the people, the city of Rutland need to understand it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of negotiations, it takes a lot of consistency work here, and to try to build a plan. And I'm tired of hearing what I'm hearing on the radio, that things are bad. I don't think things are bad. I think things are very good at this point. Yes, we still have a lot of problems to work out. We got a lot of things to work out, little details that need to get done. But basically, I think the vision is starting to unfold right before our eyes. If you travel throughout the state like I do, it's the biggest news out in the state that Rutland County is finally picking up and things are happening here. They're coming here to shop. I bumped into some people who were from Montpelier in the mall today. They came all the way down here to shop. I mean, that was unheard of 2 or 3 years ago. I just think that we should be celebrating. And that's why we brought some things in here. I think we should celebrate and pat ourselves on the back a little bit, because we did do some real hard work here. And things are happening, and I think we should relax and enjoy it. Well, we got it. And it's just a commentary.
And that's the way it is.
And that's the way it is.
Thank you, Bill.
And Merry Christmas. And a prosperous New Year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to
And Happy
everybody.
Hanukkah today started.
Any other business?
Yes,
A motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that's it.